Hello class, welcome back. Today we're going to be getting into writing effective business emails, how to do that and strategies for it. First, we're going to talk about how to decide if email is the right communication for a given situation, and then we're going to go into tips and examples on business email writing. So email in general. Email is the preferred medium of communication in today's organizations for most purposes. It is a communication medium with high levels of flexibility that allows messages to be carefully constructed and sent to specific individuals simultaneously to be read asynchronously. So it can be sent to a lot of people at once, it can be forwarded, it can be passed on, and it can be read asynchronously. People can read it as they get a chance. It also allows for the writer to take time and really work out their wording, which is a huge advantage. Back in the 80s, media richness theory was developed. It essentially provided a framework to suggest the effectiveness of a communication channel or medium by matching the richness of a medium and the equivocality. Basically, it's the level to which it is open to interpretation or the level to which it is ambiguous of a task. So the idea was to decrease the levels of ambiguity in communication by choosing in a context-specific way the best communication form. So this theory is based on the idea of richness, and it determines the richness of a medium based on the availability of immediate feedback. So in face-to-face communication, you're able to get an immediate yes or no, look at their face and determine whether they're agreeing or not. You can have that immediate feedback rather than waiting for a reply email, for example. Multiple cues, body language, tone would provide multiple cues and add to the medium's richness. Language variety and personal focus. So according to this theory, email ends up being a lean media, whereas face-to-face, for example, would be considered a rich media. And for a long time, that was thought to mean that email is not as effective as face-to-face communication, but research is noting that a media's richness level may give only a limited view of the effectiveness of a communication channel. Email, for example, has so many advantages outside of those items. For example, the face-to-face immediate feedback or the tone and expression. Those are areas of weakness that email has, but its areas of strength are so convincing that it is an extremely powerful communicative tool and is often the best choice for a given situation. But it is important to keep those things in mind. As you're crafting an email, keep in mind that the reader cannot see your face, cannot hear your tone of voice. So you need to be very clear in your words. So if you go about your email writing with an awareness for its status as lean media, that can inform your writing and help you produce really effective emails and help you avoid some unnecessary face-to-face meetings, particularly if you're working in an online context that can be difficult. Social influences such as peer pressure, supervisor attitudes and behaviors, as well as organizational and group norms can affect one's attitude towards a given medium. So it can also be very situational and context specific and be based on the communicative norms, the expectations of a given organization. You may be working for an organization that uses email almost exclusively for its inter-office communications, or you may be working for an organization that really expects that face-to-face element, or that you pick up the phone and call and provide the tone of voice cues that you wouldn't get in an email. So it's important to keep in mind the expectations in the professional environment that you are in when you're deciding if it is appropriate to send an email. For business emails, emails may be informal in personal contexts, but for business communication, they require an attention to detail and an awareness that your email reflects you and your company and a professional tone so that it may be forwarded to a third party if needed. The fact that the email reflects you is important as multicultural students potentially moving into an English-speaking environment, an American environment perhaps. The idea that the email reflects you is partially an individualistic American perspective. We do tend to see the writer of the email as an individual as opposed to a spokesperson for their organization, although that is certainly also in the back of the mind. There is an individualistic spin on it, and that's important to keep in mind if you're coming from a different culture and moving into an American environment. And the professional tone so that it can be forwarded to a third party, because this often happens with email. Someone else needs to see it. It can easily be forwarded on, so make sure that what you're writing is appropriate to be seen by anyone in the office. Some practical tips. Include proper salutations as they can demonstrate respect and help avoid mix-ups. So don't just jump straight into the body of your email, even though it does show on an email the sender and the recipient. You do want to go ahead and keep that formal salutation, dear Mr. X or hello. Depending on your level of familiarity, you can determine the appropriate salutation, but do have one up there. Write a clear and informative subject line. This is very important. If it gets too long, people won't read it. But if it's not informative, it might end up getting lost in the long list of emails in the inbox. So write an informative, concise email that gives the person an idea what it is you're going to be addressing. And then close with a signature. Say who you are. Write your name. You can create a signature block that includes your name and business contact information that's just automatically on the end of all your emails. And reread, revise, and review. Catch and correct errors and typos before sending them out. Because remember, those emails are professional communications. They are telling your audience something about you and potentially your company. So make sure that you are not making a habit of typos. Of course, some errors will be sent out. We are human, that happens. But don't make it your habit. So an example of a business email, this is just kind of to show you the format. You have a subject that's informative, you have your salutation, and then this goes in block format, meaning after your salutation you have a blank space, then your first paragraph, then a blank space, then another paragraph or line and a space. You continue that pattern until you hit your end. Best regards, sincerely, again depending on the formality of the writing, and then your signature. Writing an effective business email. So to review, it's important to examine the situation in a context-specific way, knowing your organization, knowing the communication norms within that company or organization, in order to determine if email is even the right way to go for this communication. Should it be email? Should it be a phone call? Should it be a Zoom call? Should it be a face-to-face? Making that decision is important in presenting your information effectively. And if you do determine that email is the best way to go, then you can follow those tips and examples in formatting and structuring your email so that it can be seen as professional. So please put these into practice, and I will see you in our next video.